Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM radio from Los Angeles. Anyway, each week we have a show where we interview somebody in business, either trying to teach somebody something about business or someone that has created a new company and we want to learn about what the company does. This week we have a great guest. We're going to be getting to him shortly, but before then, because everybody says to me, I don't know why you're spelling Brien with an E. Why is it spelled Askrbrien? Because everybody I knew growing up spelled Brien Brian or Bryan. Why do you use the E? So, just for that purpose, we hired somebody specifically who's an engineer who's going to try to help us out. Matt, are you there?
I'm here, Peter. How are you?
All right. I'm very happy because my JETS just won.
That's right.
That's not a frequent event here. All right.
I mean,
so,
I just want to say for the record, am I just sliced bread? I'm here too.
Oh, yeah, and Tracy's here too.
Oh, excuse me. Also another week. Anyway.
It's going to be a good day
All right.
today. I can tell.
The show would not be anything without our elaborate guest, who's electrifying. I took that word out of her. And her name is Traci. Traci, say hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Matt.
Hi, Tracy.
All right. But now, before we get into this interview, everybody wants to know what is the reason that Brien is spelled with an E. And Matt is going to try to help us out.
That's right.
So,
Well,
Matt, one reason why Brien is spelled with an E.
Oh, as the expert on E's, another E for you. There's many reasons. However, I like to always start with this first one. E is for education because we try to educate our listeners each week about business.
Well, that's a very good concept. You know, the education is not just what you learn in school. Education is what you learn from other people. And this is how we try to do it each week. We try to educate people on things. Today we're going to learn about regenerative agriculture. That's going to be coming up soon. And that is a preview to what's going to happen. So that's what we're going to learn about today. But anyway, let's continue.
Well, there's so many to choose from, Peter, but one of my personal favorites is experts because the guests that we have on our show are experts in their field.
But to be an expert, what does that mean?
Well, you have to run the gauntlet, Peter. That's the bad news. If you want to be an expert, you got to be willing to work hard for it. And it's about 10,000 hours in your field.
10,000 hours?
But look, Peter, it's not that hard if you break it down piecemeal. You
I'm
just go
in television. I watch 10,000 hours of TV. I can tell you everything about Seinfeld, Cheers, and everything.
Well, look at it this way. We have 52 weeks in a year. We take 2 off for vacation, get our rest and relaxation, right? So we'll break it down.
Not if you're an entrepreneur, but go ahead.
That's true. We'll cut it down to 50 weeks, and there's 40 working hours per week. Although we have agreed here now over the last couple of shows that no entrepreneur is working solely 40 hours a week. It's much closer to double that at 80. But when you look at 40 hours a week times 50 weeks in a year, it comes to 2,000. It takes about 5 years to truly become an expert in your field.
Wow. So we have really qualified.
I must really be an expert. I got like 30 years. So I don't even know what that means except for I feel really old right now.
Well, that's what I was going to say, but you took the words out of my mouth, so okay.
What, that I'm old? That's what you were going to say?
And since I'm older than you, what does that make me?
Older, yes.
Well, anyway, Peter, since you won't cue me up, I guess I'll just go ahead with the next E. E is for experience. Because, well, you're not in the studio. I can't get any, body language cues from you or eye contact, but I'll do my best.
Well,
I know.
Don't exploit me with another E.
We are working on our telepathy, on our, shared sports teams with the Mets and Jets. So I know we're feeling the same emotions here right now, but we'll work on it in the future.
For the Mets, I'm wearing a badge, but go ahead.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, E is for experience because experience counts.
Well, that is definitely true. Experience counts. What is Traci? You have one E. I never ever remember. I keep on every week. I go. She has some E that she likes. I cannot remember it. What is that? What is that, Trace?
Oh, come on now. How could you forget my favorite E of electrifying?
I can't even remember your name. What is it?
You can't even remember that I'm on the show to introduce me. So I'm really starting to get concerned about your endurance.
Come on, Joanne. Oh, that's right. It's not Joanne. But Joanne does have an E at the end, unlike your name that has an I.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But the reality is that we are all very exceptional, including our guest, who I think we would be remiss if we did not introduce soon, or he may be already running screaming away from the show.
I agree with you on that note, and that, without any further ado, and Matt, please explain to the audience why I like the word ado.
Well, I've always believed it's because you've been a fan of the Romance language, French. However, I do believe there is another reason, and that is because it only has one consonant, and the rest of the letters in the word ado are nouns.
Well, usually you spell it out. That is correct. All right. Now our guest who is like going, what in the world did I get myself into? What is going to happen here? And am I on the Howard Stern next show, or what's going on here? We're going to introduce Ken. Ken, are you there?
Yeah, I sure am. I'm actually finding the conversation interesting in that I like acronyms and I like words. And do you know what the LUX is an acronym for?
Which word? LUC?
LUC, L-U-C-K. As being a serial entrepreneur, which is what I am. LUX. When people say you're lucky, what I tell them, what LUC stands for is labor under constant knowledge. So if you work hard at it, you work long enough, people will claim that you're lucky. But ultimately, you can create your own luck, and I think as any kind of business professional, if you can work hard, you get nothing. So there you go.
We're going to use it next time on our show.
I get to add in, right? So go ahead.
Right. We're going to use it on our next show. We're going to call it E-Luck, because they have E this and E that. We'll do E-Luck, and then we can tell people what it is. Entrepreneurs, and add on the rest. Entrepreneurs, labor, or whatever. So, Ken, you have a company. It's called, what is the name of it?
Azuluna Foods. It's like Blue Moon, but Azuluna Foods, Azuluna.
And you're doing something interesting that I and the audience is not aware of. Explain to us, what is regenerative farming agriculture? What does that mean? Is that like organic?
Regenerative agriculture can incorporate organic practices. But what it really does is it encapsulates the idea of raising animals on pasture, and we provide them the space and natural environment to have an enriched diet, and we deal with high welfare husbandry. And what it is restoring the land through integration with the livestock within the land, so that we rotate them among our fields. They add essentially by spreading their feces around the ground. It basically builds the soil, and the key to healthy food for all of us is having a healthy soil. And unfortunately, we've depleted the soil. And I think an interesting fact, because not to give away my age, but I was born in 1958. And what they say today is 1 carrot in 1958, to get the same nutrient density, you have to eat 100 carrots today. Just because the soil that's coming out. 1 apple in 1958, you have to consume 6 apples to get the same nutrient density. So regenerative farming is really about taking care of the planet and taking care of humans. And by having more nutrient-dense food, we can actually improve the quality of our lives. And we work, interesting enough, with the Tufts University, the Friedman School of Nutrition, Science, and Policy, which actually had we were involved with the White House Council conference on hunger, nutrition, and health. And, really what's they say that, $23.5 trillion can be saved if we would just eat better and more nutrient-dense food. It's just, I hate to say it's as simple as what you put in your mouth, but what you put in your mouth is how it's food is medicine. Eat the right things and you may not live longer, but you'll certainly live a better life during that time. And that's what regenerative farming is about, taking care of the land, soil, and growing nutrient-dense, in our case, proteins, meaning animals. But the same is true if you're growing produce.
Now, how did you get into this business? What did you do prior to this?
Well, I actually ran this simultaneously. So I started originally, I actually was headed to California, never quite got there. I grew up in Woodstock, New York, headed to California, ended up in Texas, and worked in the oil services business. And following that, I started a technology business in 1986. And I ran that for 37 years, where we designed, built, and serviced the infrastructure behind IT and telecom. So we worked with wireless companies, broadband companies, and computer data processing companies. And then, so what I saw was, I ended up locating to Woodstock, Connecticut, which is outside of Boston. Ended up with about a 280-acre farm, and unfortunately, there's always difficult things happen in every entrepreneur's life. And unfortunately, my wife, who was my best friend, passed away 22 years ago of colon cancer. And she ate very healthy, but it drove me to say, what is it, and what should we be eating, what should we be doing? So I guess this is more of a passion play. I've since sold most of my business. I'm selling a couple others, and I'm focusing all my energy on both Azuluna, which does we combine regenerative agriculture with culinary arts. We're working with one of the best culinary schools in the country called Johnson & Wales University. And then we combine it with nutritional sciences. So regenerative agriculture, culinary arts, nutritional sciences to create macro and micronutrient balanced meals that we ship all over the country. We also make products, again, all that come from regenerative farms, come from prepared by phenomenal, classically trained chefs, and with registered dietitians and doctors that help to make sure that what you put in your body is going to help you. And we make it easy, because most people like myself don't have enough time. So everything is, you can put it in an oven for 15 minutes, or put it in a microwave for 3, and you're eating essentially a phenomenal meal that's good for you. No sugars, no added sugars, no added salts, no chemicals. It's really pretty phenomenal. And at the same time, we also offer with this, we do an online, with one of our products, we do a pasture-raised chicken bone broth, which is like an elixir of life. And we do a nutritional guidance education online. So it's all pretty interesting, and it's a passion for me to kind of improve our communities and the way we live, and be part of essentially changing the arc of what we're doing as a country.
That is a lot of stuff. We could do the whole show just on what you just said right there. That is quite an amazing background. You've gone from one industry to another industry, and now you're into the farming industry. That's not typical. Typically, I would not expect somebody to go from A to B to C. And I mean, while there is technology in farming, while there's oil and et cetera, that combination is such an unusual combination. You're probably a very unique guest for us in that respect. Although we've had people from many, many different industries, that I don't know that we have too many farmer technology people who started out in oil services. So that is quite an unusual background. Question for you: when did you start the company?
We started in 2010, but on a very small scale. I like to think of the Azuluna, which was a little bit of a Cinderella company that I started on the side. I've been at times running, it's quite different than Elon Musk, but I'm probably running at times 9 different businesses. So that what now has happened is that my interest and my focus really post-COVID, right? COVID was what cemented for me, really focusing my energy on this, because ultimately what's happened with food and food production and COVID, it became, obviously over 1 million people passed away with COVID, that most of us are walking around with inflammation in our bodies. And the way that, low-level inflammation. some that you might not even know, because I know, unfortunately, we all know that people have died of COVID, and they seem like they were healthy people. Well, what's happened is that a lot of our food is produced with, a lot of people are negative on genetically modified food. I think some genetically modified food's fine if you're going to make plants that are more drought resistant in sub-Saharan Africa. Certainly fine. People need that. But what we've done in this country, unfortunately, is we've made what are called industrial grade corn and soy. So we're growing genetically modified corn and soy that often they can spray Roundup, which most of us heard what Roundup is, kill all the weeds and this thing grow up. The problem is when you eat food, and it's hard to find food that doesn't have corn in it, or corn syrup, corn starch, corn something, or soy in it, your body has a hard time digesting this industrial grade corn. You create inflammation in your body, and then when COVID came along, it just drove your system into, it saw something as foreign, something that was damaging to you, and then overreacted to it. And that's really one of the biggest issues that occurred. Not that low level inflammation wasn't going to kill you by itself, but certainly when COVID came along, it created a reaction to that low level inflammation. So the whole key for us is creating food that doesn't have that, doesn't create that. And I will tell you, the big companies out there are certainly getting the message. You need small entrepreneurial people like ourselves to kind of push them in the right direction. And you also need consumers to be aware of it so that they're buying and concerned about buying the right foods and taking the right things in their body.
Now, so where is it just available online, or are there other methods to get your products?
No, we primarily go through online. The Internet's been obviously an amazing tool. Not unlike, being a technology guy, I started with mainframes back, and I think I dealt with the very first PC, which was the XT back in 1979. So it's been around a while, but the technology Internet is really where to go, because the hardest thing is getting farmers to make money, and particularly in the Northeast where we are. We've been losing farming since the 1850s, 1860s. The land was expensive, and we became very urbanized and industrial in the East Coast here. And anyone who wanted a farming moved to Pennsylvania, Nebraska, west, even all the way obviously to California, which has a very robust farming segment of your state. And in the Northeast, we hardly have any farms, and there's without any big farms, there's no grain to be able to feed your animals. Typically, most of them can't survive or can't grow at a reasonable rate without some sort of, grain, which is really just a high density food rather than just a more of a low density food with grass. So, we're trying to, figure out a way to bring farming back to New England, and we are bringing regenerative farming back. And one of the most important things that we do here is that we connect urban dwellers with their farms, so that we can take people out of New York, Boston, Hartford, Providence, Rhode Island, and have them come out and experience farming as it once was, and be able to allow them to have some interaction with farm animals, and to learn about really four pillars that we deal with. To simply say, one of the pillars is soil management, water management, energy management. The second one is a broad-based sustainability. The third one is food, how it's produced, where it comes from, how it's distributed, and then ultimately as food, as medicine, how it impacts you. And the last one, which is kind of fun, is also animal sciences. And when you can interact with animals, which a lot of us people don't do anymore today, is you get to understand and realize that we all are all animals. And I know some of the conversation I was listening to before I got on, it's kind of funny, but we demonstrate certain traits that chickens, pigs, and sheep, which are primarily what we raise here in our farms, and our goal is you'll realize that we behave a lot like those animals, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but we have to recognize that.
Wow, that's very interesting. You may not be aware, so I grew up on Long Island, and probably about 15, 20 years before I was born, it was there were a lot of potato farms. It was big out in Long Island. Now with the Hamptons and everything else, all those places were bought up and, converted into suburbanite residential places. So it's very interesting, concept, very, very similarity in the same concept in the Northeast. So that's very interesting. We have about another minute and a half left before we're going to take our first break. And so one of the things I wanted to understand is, do you have like distribution centers in other parts of the country? Because when you're doing it online, that might be great if you want to ship to Northeast, if you have a center in Connecticut, but probably to cover the United States, you probably need to have one out west or somewhere else. And where are most of your customers?
No, good question. They're primarily in the Northeast, but we can ship it to Maine, right? We put ice packs in there, and the food travels well. We've tested it out. We work with FedEx and UPS, and it travels in about a day and a half. The meals are good between 7 and 10 days. So we basically order by Sunday night at midnight. We basically source from the farms on Monday, Tuesday, and we ship on Wednesday. And typically the food will show up in the Northeast on Thursday and all the way in California on Friday. And a big shout out to, listen, my mom's actually lives in Santa Clarita. She's 91. I'll credit her.
Oh, wow, that's where the show is.
I understand that. She was very excited when she knew it was going on. So hopefully she's listening. But she's, she was, one of the things that, as your listeners should know before 1 minute, if you can eliminate sugar, eliminate salt, eliminate chemicals out of your diet as best you can. And the other thing is to drink a lot of water, which is essentially your body weight split in half, and that's how many ounces of water you want to consume in a day. You can do that. You'll definitely be a lot healthier.
Well, that's amazing. We have a lot more stuff to go over, but we do have to take a break because we do have sponsors. So this is KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM, the Ask Brien Show. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We have a fabulous guest. And without any further ado, because we don't want to go ahead, Traci, start. We're just jumping right in abruptly because I don't have time to go through my regular shtick today because we have a great guest and we need to get that information out.
Well, I'm
putting pressure.
Just really grateful.
No pressure.
Grateful you got my name right. Yeah.
Pressure was one of my favorite songs by Billy Joel. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh! I thought you were going to let me go. I am just very impressed by your products and your mission and the values of your company. And I know that getting the word out on this, especially with the distribution method being primarily online, I'm sure it's come with some challenges. You've obviously been doing it successfully. Can you talk to us about your marketing strategy, how that's working for you, and how you're executing it?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Just full disclosure, I'm an electrical engineering by training at the University of Texas at Austin. So in all my businesses I've ever built, I believe in first building the product and making sure that it's the right thing. It's very important to us that whatever we're saying to our consumers is real, it's validated. And in this case, because we're really combining regenerative agriculture, culinary arts, and nutritional sciences, the first thing we did was we made sure that we worked with the actual best in the universities and minds that we could. So on our board is Dr. George Saperstein, who ran the Tufts University Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine. So we understood everything we needed to go, along with the UConn, which has got a great ag program. We then also work with Johnson Wales University, the College of Food Innovation and Technology. This gentleman called Dean Evans, who's the founding dean of that. And then we also, with nutritional sciences, we work with the Tufts Friedman School of Nutrition Science and Policy. We also deal with Harvard University to make sure we were real, to make sure that what the promises we were making to our consumers were accurate, were based in science, and we could deliver. So we were in no particular rush, and also because we're building out the farm, there was no farming here in New England. We were building that out. So now, once we've got we've got the product and the system in place, we've developed some products, and we're excited about some of our new launching products that are launching soon with pasture-raised bone broth and with some energy truffles and some really cool things. Some of you'll see on the website, some of you won't because they're not quite there yet, but they will be soon. So once we've got the sort of, when you say market, we've got the buzz, we've got the credibility, because the one thing about the internet, you cut both ways. It can help you, it can hurt you if people turn on you and feel that you're not being true to your mission or your statement. So we've been very cognizant to be true about what we're saying, to underpromise and overdeliver. So now we've got an absolute great product. The meals are phenomenal. They're being cooked. We figured out all the shipping and all that. We're combining nutritional science in there, both through education and in the product. So, we ultimately right now it's getting on the internet and I guess going to, just talk about what we're doing at this point. We've got a PR agent out there who's looking and putting us in front of different folks. Have a social media, full-time social media director who's basically pushing out, making sure we're out there and people see us. People have to see things 2, 3, 7 times sometimes before they'll even try. And we do have incentives, which I guess we're going to give out at the end of the show here, how to try our meals out. And so that you can, one thing is, especially with food, people have to taste it. So you have to incentivize them to taste it. And then if they love it, they keep buying it. Does that answer?
Yeah, no, that's a really comprehensive strategy. So just to unpack.
We're going to take a quick sponsor break, and then we'll be right back with our sponsor, Albany Farms. Danielle, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So, and it's very interesting because we're talking about regenerative farming, and you have Albany Farms. So people want to know, what is Albany Farms? What are they doing, and what are they all about? I know you're sponsoring the show along with Legal Steps, and people want to know, what is Albany Farms, and what do they do?
So Albany Farms is our company, but our brand name is Twisted Noodles, and they are delicious ramen noodles. And most importantly, they are proudly made in the USA, and we actually just opened our first food manufacturing facility in Belfast, South Dakota. And what's really cool about our plant is we are fully vertically integrated, meaning that we make everything there in-house. And then we also feed the local livestock in the area with the grain. And the wheat that we use in our ramen noodles is made from local wheat farmers. So we're really proud of that, and we're proud of the quality of our noodles.
And where are you going to be able to pick up these noodles?
Great question. So we will be launching an H-E-B and Target by the end of the month. So take a look when you're out shopping down those aisles, down the soup aisles, and look for Twisted Noodles.
Wow, that's great. And then the other company that's sponsoring this show is Legal Steps. What is that? Is that like the steps to the courthouse? What is Legal Steps?
Well, so Legal Steps is spelled with a Z, and that is because they can help you with everything on how-to guide of being an entrepreneur, everything from A to Z on starting a business. And so that can be whether it's determining your business structure or creating a market strategy, a logo, or anything of that nature. Legal Steps can help point you in the right direction.
So it's pretty much for entrepreneurs, it sounds like, which is a lot of people that do listen to this show. So thank you very much, Danielle. We really appreciate your sponsorship. And we'll be speaking to you next week. Traci, you had some more questions to ask Ken?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so what we were just about to unpack before the break was your marketing strategy. And what I understood you to say, and just for clarification for those who are listening, so it sounds like you've done a lot of brand building through credibility with the strategic partnerships and collaborations around the universities and food cooperative programs and things like that. And then secondarily, a PR and publicity push. And then the sampling of the food itself, because I thought you made a really good point in terms of it's not like you're trying to drive people to an online course per se. You're literally trying to drive people to make a purchase online. So I was curious if you had anything specific that you could share about what happens, like, for example, in the social media and in the PR, what are some of the efforts that are then happening once someone hears about you or sees you on social or hears you on a radio show like today? What's the call to action that's getting people to then convert into a customer?
Well, what we do is we give them, our goal here is we actually have a code that gives them 50% off the meals the first time. They come packaged either 8, 16, I think it's 8 or 16 meals. I don't think there's more than that at this point. And we tell you can get it for half off, which for us is really, obviously, we're probably subsidizing that. And the shipping is, we don't do free shipping. Free shipping is sort of nothing's free, right? But if you order over a certain amount of money, it says on the website, we'll send it free. And that's really to get them to taste it. I mean, honestly, I eat my own food all the time. I have. I've been having, unfortunately, I said early in our conversation, with my wife passing away, I had to have someone come in and help out, raise my kids, and help do things around. So I've been having people cook for me from the farm for 20 years at this point. And so it's just, I want convenience. And what, to me, I don't want to think a lot about to me, food is fuel. I'm a busy guy. I got lots of stuff going on. I love sitting down, it'd be great to go dinner with you folks. We'll get out next time I'm out in Santa Clarita, we'll go to dinner sometime. It's great. I enjoy it. But most of the time I just want to eat. I want a great food, but I don't want to spend a lot of time. I need often, like our meals, we actually can take it on the road with you. There's a special hot pocket we bake, which you can actually heat it up in the car, but we put an ice pack in there with your meal so you can carry it around. So at noontime when you're hungry, you can take the ice pack and plug it in your cigarette lighter, or not cigarette lighter, just a DC outlet. I forget it shows my age of where I am, but you plug it into a DC. And that was my 91-year-old mother who told me that. She said, "Look, you got to get with it. It's just a DC outlet. Plug it in, and it'll heat your meal up so you can eat." And the difference between eating our meal at a lunch or even a dinner is you don't feel tired. Sometimes you go to, I don't want to mention any chains, but when you eat things, 15 minutes later, you're lethargic. It's just your body is like time to digest all these things that are not natural. And with my meals, you eat it, you feel energized. You just keep going. And to me, when you were talking earlier on about business, about the idea of working hard, how many hours you work, 40 is, whether you're working 40, you're working 80, or you're 120 hours. To me, I work all the time, but I enjoy it. Like when you enjoy work or you enjoy what you're doing, it's not really work. It's what I want to do. So, you need food to fuel you. And they say, right, a lot of stuff is they'll tell you that a lot of stuff comes from your mind, right? Your energy, your mind leads, right? You project forward what I want to do, and then you move forward. Well, my nutritionist really said, Ken, it doesn't start in your mind, it starts in your gut. Healthy guts, right? Because of your gut, if you're eating the wrong thing, it impacts your brain function, and you can't function. So as silly as that's, sort of like people wouldn't put bad fuel into their vehicles. People put bad fuel into their own vehicle to them, and then they expect to see great production going forward. It does, and so that's the start. Getting good food into you.
Well, and it sounds like the crux of the marketing strategy for you, just extending, past the logistical aspects of it, is just a really core focus on education. And I know we were talking during the break about the fact that consumers have access to a nutritionist when they are a customer of your product. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Sure. We're launching a bone broth with interesting. It's another part of the marketing piece that I'm not. It'll be out, I guess, being announced probably in another 7 days. But this is sort of this person's an exercise or super trainer with one of the largest kind of online exercise groups in, I would say, probably in the country, and since we're the largest country probably in the world. And we co-branded a product with her. And she'll be announcing that. And when you buy that product, you get 3 months of a nutritional program with Azuluna, which means we give a 5-week program that you can be part of, all free. This is so you sign up, you get 3 months free. You get 5 weeks of kind of what we call a lifestyle challenge where you understand your relationship to food, and then you get actually access to the online meal programming. You get to join a community group to support you in what you're doing, and then you get online access to an RD to be able to ask any questions and get an answer back anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. I mean, most of the times it's not like a medical emergency when you just need to know whether this is good food to eat or not. You can send them a text or an email, and you'll get an answer back. So yes, it's kind of nutritional guidance, because a lot of people just don't. The old kind of food pyramid isn't really valid anymore. And I guess I will promote that the White House just held this conference on food, hunger, nutrition, and health. And it's the second one. The first one was done over 50 years ago with Bobby Kennedy in 1968-69, where we found people with starvation in Mississippi and Alabama, and the decision there was to put in policies that we had to get more food for less money. But at that time, we didn't understand nutrition, and we didn't understand the body as well as we do today. So they did a great job. With food today in this country, as, up to this point, has been for less money and plentiful, but they didn't always think about nutrition. About the nutrition density and the chemicals they put in to give it more longevity. So they're going back. They had the conference, and they're going to make some new policy changes, and hopefully, within the next several years, we'll start to see changes. And I know the big companies, I'm part of a Food Innovation Council, has companies like Pepsi, which you wouldn't necessarily think is focused on nutrition, Campbell Soup, General Mills. They are all concerned about making sure their food is healthy. Now, but it's up to us, I guess, and the consumer to buy the right thing. If we buy the wrong thing, they're going to keep making it for us. But we need to make the right choices to basically have better health. And I think what I would leave everybody with, if there's anything, I think the most important thing that I more recently learned is, drinking water. If you don't drink enough water, what happens when you dehydrate, your body robs water from your brain. And you would think, though, in the 21st century, your brain's a very important function. Now, it's not necessarily, age or time appropriate or time accurate is the way to say it, is that when cavemen were running away from a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you wanted the water to go to your arms and legs so you could run away. You wouldn't care if maybe you had less, your brain was dehydrated. Today, there are linkages that say dehydration can lead to early Alzheimer's and other things. So the key is to drink half your body weight in water. So critically important. Does that help you?
No, that's great. I was pausing because I thought we might be up against a break. So, and I think that, one of the things that you said that I just wanted to highlight too is that being able to provide access to this level of information, because there is so much information out there. I mean, in fact, right before the show, I Googled what are fruits you can eat on a low-carb diet because when I packed my lunch, I grabbed an apple, and I just wasn't even 100% sure whether it was an apple. Does an apple work on a low-carb diet? I don't know. So I think it's so great to be able to combine the science, the education, and the customer experience together for a very powerful brand loyalty strategy.
Traci, sorry, I hate to interrupt here. We might have lost Peter, not sure or not, but we do need to take a break. You are listening to the Ask Brien Show on KHTS FM 98.1, AM 1220, and hometownstation.com. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. So, Ken, everyone is trying to say, how can we get Azuluna Foods delivered to us? How can we get it?
Well, let me tell you, it's very easy. All you have to do is log on the internet to Azuluna Foods. That's AZULUNA Foods.com, and you can order your meals. Make it easy. You don't have to think about all the things we've necessarily talked about, all the details of what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. You can rely on us. And if you use, because I am the CEO of the company today, I'm going to feel special on your show. You've treated me right. Anyone that uses the code KENR50. That's KENR50. You get 50% off your first set of meals, which is really a phenomenal deal. It's something unless you're just offering you and your listeners today.
Well, that's an awesome promotion. I'm very glad to have you do that. Traci, you had another question?
Yeah, well, I was just saying that I just went to azulunafoods.com just now, and I've got the code pulled up, and I am ready to place an order because I am so inspired by everything that you shared with us today. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you directly, what is the best way for them to do that? Follow you on social media at Azuluna Foods, or if they want to get in touch with you directly?
Sure. I believe we have hello at azulunafoods.com for answer any questions. So that's kind of a hello, say hi. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're on all this stuff. So, but I think the website can direct you everywhere you want to go because that's nice. And I think the key, like you had talked earlier, not knowing you can rely on us. I think there is a lot of misinformation out there, poor information. That's why That's why linking up with some of the best universities in the country, you can have confidence. What you're eating from us is going to be good for your health, and that was important to us, more important than anything, as well as the educational component. Not only are you getting good for yourself, but you're helping promote education for the next generation.
Sounds great. And you can catch all of this on our podcast, wherever you listen to our favorite podcast, Ask Brien Podcast, Apple, Spotify. Check it out and get that promo code KENR50 for 50% off your order.
Thank you very much.